So at this point in my life, I have a choice between should I let this take me down or should I just keep hanging on and being positive and find a balance in between it and write music about it.
Once in a while, perhaps once in a lifetime, a band comes along whose music resonates so strongly with you that their music becomes part of the fabric of your life. The closer you get, the deeper it means. Raising you up, making you want to move your body, and sometimes when the mood is just right, you have to let the music bleed all over you. Sounds that resonate to your core and lyrics that speak to your soul.
Welcome to the most exciting adventure of your life. Welcome to a new way of living, and welcome to the Five Mountain Adventures podcast. Hi, I'm Casey.
And I'm Andy. We help people thrive in challenging times, and our goal for this year is to help 5,000 people thrive in these challenging times via our podcast and mental fitness one-on-one and small group coaching. You can help us reach our goal by rating and sharing our podcast and following us on Instagram and YouTube. Help us raise the vibration of our world, moving from anger and fear and division to courage, understanding, and compassion. It starts with us.
Today, we're speaking with international recording artist, legendary bassist, frontman, and songwriter Doug Pinnick. Doug's music career spans over 50 years, spending over 3 decades with the genre-bending King's X. Having the same trio since the band's conception, they released their latest album, 3 Sides of One, in September of 22, their first studio album in 14 years. Welcome, Doug.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I can't complain. Like I said before, slap me if I complain. You know, the way things are going these days with other people and all the stuff that's going on, I don't have any problems at the end of the day, really.
Yeah,
it's a good way.
Nothing worth talking about, nothing worth getting me down for.
100%. Love it.
We're really curious people, so we always like to know what our guests are most curious about in their lives right now.
I'm really curious about all the stuff that's going on and what's going on, what isn't going on. Is it true? Is it false? Should I worry about it or should I just keep going? It's like on one hand, I should be running around in circles, hoarding everything I can because the end of the world is coming. But then on the other hand, if the end of the world is coming, well, why am I hoarding things? But then on the other hand, I'm 72 years old and I've heard about the end of the world my whole life through the Bible, through different religions, through science, through everything. And, it's been 2,000 years. We're still waiting for Jesus. So at this point in my life, I have a choice between should I let this take me down or should I just keep hanging on and being positive and find a balance in between it and write music about it.
Yeah, I love it. Right. So what you just said resonates so strongly with me. It's depending on who you listen to, actually anybody you listen to in the national media, left side of the spectrum, right side of the spectrum, it doesn't matter. It's all doom and gloom. It's all bad news. But
it's all coming from the same people.
Yeah. And how much of it's true versus the marketing, so to speak, right?
Right.
The national media is all about, it's all driven by, money, right?
Profit. Follow the money.
So they have a vested interest in keeping us glued to the TV in fear, division,
right.
Just keeping us separated from each other, right? So yeah, why worry about it, right? You keep living your life.
I continually fall back into it. Just tried because I want to know what's going on in the world. I'm very curious. You just don't know what to believe anymore. And even doing your research, it's like it's just it's a wasted time. But that's what they want, because that's how they make money. Isn't it amazing that there is nothing on the internet that has made me buy anything, but yet I have to watch all these commercials and somehow they're making money off of my inconvenience. Lots of money. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How are we going to fix it? They killed Martin Luther King and they killed Kennedy. It's kind of scary because, I want to stand up and fight. And then it goes, at this point, although they've got such, whoever it is, it seems to have so much control that folks who have the fire to get up and stand up and try to make a change, they're even afraid now because they're going to be shut down. And think of all the conspiracy theories of the people that have done things that could have changed society in such a great way that was shut down, from water gas to, all those little stories that you've heard about people.
You made a great point, right? And maybe we're a little bit off topic, but what the heck, we're having fun today. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Jesus, Gandhi. It's when you get these high vibrational icons that are about peace and love and transition, changing the status quo for the positive, they get shut down. And to your point, is the people who are trying to make a positive difference. And that's why, we're here. We're trying to raise the vibrational energy of the world, right? Get us out of division and fear and anger into a more positive state. But yeah, sometimes it's an uphill battle fighting, trying to change the status quo, but that's okay, right? It's a good fight.
Oh, I've learned finally, well, for me personally in my life, is now I pick and choose where to send my vibrations to and what vibrations to allow into my aura. It's very important. I realize now that even when I listen to music now, what are they singing about? Because words are spells. And if they're singing about things that are dark, that don't go along with the way I feel, why should I sit here and listen to somebody chant this negative energy in front of me while I'm dancing or just grooving to the music? Just the knowledge of the metaphysics of music and words has really been an eye-opening thing for me. And I'm just beginning to dabble into it, just seeing how important it is, how words matter and how words create, and how your mind creates, what you feel, what you think. And, we all know you could mentally heal yourself if we could, and some people probably have. I know that people who talk about being sick all the time are always sick. They've been sick their whole lives, but that's all they talk about. And I never get sick. I just don't. I don't believe I'm going to get sick. And if I do get sick, it's like, oh, whoa, okay, well, I'm doing good. I'll fight this off. My immune system's pretty strong. I better, just keep doing what you're doing, and because when you're doing the right thing, your body will do what it needs to do to take care of you.
Yeah, 100%. What an interesting point. And I'll tell you, we must be all on the same wavelength right now, the same vibrations, because some of our questions are going to hone in right on that topic specifically, right? So why don't I just start with one of them? So, I've heard it said, we probably all have heard it said, that rock music, particularly the heavier music, the D or drop D tuning, can have a negative effect on our vibrational state, both physically and emotionally. And personally, I find for me that it's the opposite's true. I believe that a song, a recording, a performance captured is just a snapshot in time. To what extent, Doug, do you feel that an artist's intentions and their state at the time of recording plays into how it's received?
I think so. And sadly enough, a lot of songs that have been staples in people's lives were from people who were in pain, doing the song, which is, I don't even understand, the physics behind that. But, it all depends on who you are and what you're thinking and the Pied Piper, I don't believe it's a person. I believe it's an energy. And there are people that tap into that energy and we just flow along with them, and music, is muse. That's, and muse, supposedly the muse was considered a satanic being, so like, and even, I've read in mythology that Satan was the one who, made the music in heaven, so, Lucifer or whatever. So it's like, I think there's really something behind all that. And I think that we're ignorant of it, and what it can do to you. I mean, just the pitch of songs. We're in 440. The whole world basically. I think. Well, as far as I know, it became standard at some point in time, which wasn't too long ago, 50, 60 years, I guess. But 440 became the standard, and we find out that 440 is the most chaotic frequency to play your music on. And if you play at 432 or 438, the vibration creates a beautiful pattern like snow and like the natural things of earth. But when you're playing 440, the vibrations are chaotic. And we've been using this for years, as long as I've been alive or longer. There are people that are starting to write songs in 442, or 436, I think it's called. And I'm fixing to do that myself. Now I've listened to some songs in that frequency. I can't tell any difference personally. Yeah. And a few of my friends tried it, and they can't tell the difference either. And even Tom Petty did it on a couple songs I heard. So I don't know if there's any truth to that fact, but it's just another part of the mystery of what attracts us to that one song. Because that's still a mystery for me, is why didn't I have that #1 hit that the world deems as #1? I want that song like anybody else does. Everybody wants that one song. I don't care who you are, how much you don't want fame or fortune. You want everybody to like your song. But how do you write that? Because if we could, AI would have written it. And yeah, AI has written a few songs, and they're pretty good songs, but they lack the human emotion. They have all the notes, all the riffs, all the things. There was a song, somebody programmed an AI and said, write a song that write lyrics that Doug Pinnick would write. And they posted it. And I thought, it's kind of the way I would write, but they missed the feeling of why I do what I do and all the history behind me that made me say the words the way I said it. So that's a rabbit hole.
Oh, right. It's so interesting, though. It's such a compelling, for me at least, topic. So yeah, we could talk about this all day, and I think
if I get off subject, please reel me back, because sometimes I have a habit of babbling.
I feel like it's really on topic to where we were going. I mean, we were talking about King's X music in general, like the lyrics, the music, the harmony of the instruments and the vocals. They're so emotionally churning, a lot of the songs, and it's like you're just feeling the music inside, not just hearing it. And it's rare to find a band that can do that, and I feel like King's X does it over and over again. Would you agree with that? And why would you think that is?
The thing about bands that, when the words that people have used to describe us are words that I use to describe my favorite bands. And after being in this band for 42 years now, and it being a mystery to me why people even could care about us, our music, I finally get what it is that we do that's our gift. And that is, the three of us have learned somehow. It's sort of like when you find someone you love and you get married, and you have the perfect relationship until they pass. You have ups and downs, you have problems, but there's something magical between the two of you, and you know it, and you don't want to lose that. That's the magic of bands that have that thing. And Ty and Jerry, I've noticed that it's not the songs, it's the way we play the songs with each other. I've learned that. It's taken me a long, long time. And I believe that's why we've never had a mega hit song, is because we don't write good songs. We play good songs. If that makes any sense. The reason why I say that is because I've watched through my life so many people take a King's X song and try to play it, and it's shocking how it has nothing to do with the song. It's when they hit a note, they hit the note like they're supposed to. The tone is right, the timing is right. But the way Ty and I hit a note, we hit it with each other in a way that we subconsciously, it's one. And we never planned it. For some reason, we just have always done that. There's things that we do that like when King's X, how tight we are about, there are times when we can do breaks and stops that are so squeaky clean that I'm even shocked. And I go, how do we do that? It's because we understand each other's give and take. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I hit a note, they know how long it's going to last, how hard I'm going to hit it, and why I'm hitting it that hard or that soft. And we all kind of just hear each other's feelings and vibes. And all of a sudden we lock into this thing and this train starts moving. And it always happens as soon as Jerry goes click, 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 everything changes in my life. I don't know about them, but there was this, all of a sudden I'm on a machine that it's like I'm a part of it and it just moves. And no matter what I do, no matter how far I get off, I can find my way back in, and because I'm still in, it sounds like it was on purpose. It's like there's this thing that I'm so lucky to meet these guys, to play with them, and it was never planned. It's like I think about Led Zeppelin, for instance, and how they played with each other, or U2, the early U2, especially when I first heard them, it was like, it wasn't about talent. It was about how they locked in with each other in every way possible and created this thing that just dropped me to my knees, And when a band can do that, that's the magic. And I think there's not too many bands that do that because, people don't want to look far enough. They're ready to settle down with the first thing that comes along, and they don't take the time. Or, sometimes you can't always play with your best friends. Mm-hmm. They might hold you down for the rest of your life. They might be the ones that will hold your what you do. So it's like there's so many different aspects to playing with people, and it is an emotional thing, and you have to I don't know, you have to just be together on every level. That's what I look at it. But, I could be wrong. I just know in my own experiences, that's the way it has been,
It goes back to that energy and vibration and y'all being in flow together.
I think so. I remember about a month ago, I was surfing the internet and somebody posted a live show we did at a place called the Mule Lips in Girard, Mississippi in 1982. We were about 2 years old at the time. Now, I hadn't heard King's X or us, forever. So it's like we were kids, and so I pulled it up and started to play it thinking, okay, I'm going to have a laugh. And I was pretty much shocked at how magical it was. I mean, we were young, we were kids, we sang really high, but there was all this energy and there was this machine that was happening. And I'm going, oh, I get it now. That's what those people who did come to see us, who were stuck on us. There wasn't many. I mean, we could clear a club out in a minute, but that last 10 or 15 people were lifers. That's the magic of King's X. It's like you gotta get it, because if you don't get it, you ain't gonna get it, and you're not gonna waste your time on it. And when we finally came to that conclusion, joy came into my life. It's like, the fight went away, and now I can just make music for the people that I know that love what I do.
Yeah. Casey, I think you hit on it, right? Flow. So I've got to tell you, I've been very fortunate. I've seen you guys play live all over the country. Not as many times as some, but many more than others, right? And every time it's a magical experience. You're never sure where the show is going to go, right? But yeah, it's always a fun time. And so I guess my first comment is, there is a flow that goes on, here's what, without sounding like a little stockish or whatever, but I like to watch, okay, just Jerry Gaskell playing the drums. He is having so much fun back there. Just watching him play, and it's a neat thing, right? And then you take a look and you look to the left, and there's you playing the bass, and you're just doing your thing, and then Ty's over there doing his thing on the right, and it's just this flow that happens. It's just beautiful. There's no other way to describe it. And like you said, even if you kind of drop off someone, somebody drops it a little bit, it's all good, right? There's a lot of love in the audience. It doesn't matter. And the second point is, the really neat thing about going to a King's X show is the people that are there. We were down in Nashville to see you guys, a couple of months ago.
Oh.
And we met so many people there that were just from all over the place, and they had driven down to see you guys, and we exchanged Facebooks and things, and it's just a neat community, right, that just loves this band. And there's just this passion that goes on. So yeah, what I'm saying is, you found your place, right, at least from my perspective, and the flow that goes on at the concert is just wonderful.
Thanks.
Anyway, I'm not sure where I'm going from there. Anyway,
I appreciate that, and it's like, we don't know what's going to happen. Ty and Jerry will always say that they go, wherever you go, Doug will follow you.
Yeah.
And it's that's what I love about the band, is we all know what our part is in the band and how important each other's part is to make it what we are. No one takes a back seat, but everybody relies on each other to make it all happen. When I play with other people, I immediately can tell that it's not Ty and Jerry. And all of a sudden I have to think, I have to find the groove, the rhythm, find their nuance, and it throws me off, and I can't concentrate because I can't be comfortable. But when I play with Ty and Jerry, it's like, it doesn't matter what's going on. There's this wall behind me that never moves. And I can just kind of bounce around it, and I always land on my feet because they're always there. That's what I love about playing with those guys, is that there's such a consistency in the way those two guys play. I'm more of the emotional guy, and I'm ahead or behind them all the time. And that's what I love about playing with them too, is because when I play with other people that don't have that aspect in their playing, they will head speed up and follow behind with me, and all of a sudden there's this disjointed mess. It's like, I think we've all found the right people to keep each other in line, because timing wise, is those guys have timing that's just scary timing. Both of them do. They really, really do. And I'm still amazed at, when we go into the studio and we do songs or we work on things, they never waver. They never mess up. I've never been around them once where they've hit a wrong note or hit a beat out of time for 42 years. It's kind of weird. I mean, they might have played the wrong lick or the wrong part, but the timing never wavers. I remember even when we're playing sometimes, and all of a sudden I'll be playing, and all of a sudden I'll hear something, I'll look back and I'll think something happened, but nothing changed. And then later somebody says, man, Jerry's cymbal fell off this thing and hit the blah, 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 but he never lost a beat, and it's like, you knew something happened. But yeah, I love playing with those guys. I'll brag about them all the time.
Yeah, rightly so.
And we love each other as much as we hate each other, like brothers. Oh my God, I could kill them. They could kill me. Oh my God, yeah.
Well,
that makes some magic.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. So you mentioned studio. So why don't we dive into this?
Yeah.
So 14 years, you guys were touring the entire span between records, right? So
Yeah.
what sparked the creation of this album? Why now?
Well, trying to make a long story short, I never stopped writing. I've been writing since I was 18, and there's a song coming out of me every week at least. So that never stops. And when we did the XV record, I think everybody was at a low point, and as a in the morale as a band making records. We knew we had to tour because this is how we make a living, and we love playing. But when it comes to making records, it was sort of like nobody seemed to be into it, like it should have been.
Mhm.
And Ty was the guy that really, I think it affected him the most. And he decided, without telling us, that he didn't want to make another record until he felt we were ready. And he held his own for 14 years, even when I, went in and fought to make a record, and I did it twice and almost got things rolling. But at the end of the day, he just said, "No, I'm just not ready." And so I went and did about 5 or 6 different projects and a couple solo records, and just kept on going with my life because I knew sooner or later, I believed, that we were going to make another record. And so about maybe a year before Three Sides of One came out, we were on the road. I think we were on a tour bus, actually. Maybe we were in Europe. I don't know. But I had a few songs that I had written. Well, I've always got songs in my back pocket, but we had drank a lot of wine, and everybody was like really in a good mood. And I'm thinking, wow, they're in a great mood. I'm going to play them some of my tunes, see what they think, and I played them a couple songs and they loved them, which was a shock because we are brothers. We don't appreciate each other and we don't give each other compliments. If you write a song, we can do that. Yeah, I like that one. That one's, we can work with that one. They never say, "Man, that's a great song." We don't do that to each other. We don't love on each other like that. We're hard on each other. We really are. And we're not impressed with each other, or at least we won't let each other know that. Okay. And yeah, we got a little thing. But and everybody got excited, and I was going, wow, because I literally said, "Hey guys, I got some tunes. Can I play them for you?" Like literally, I was that meek. And Ty said, "Yeah, let's hear some." And I played them, and they loved them. And then Ty said, "Well, I got some tunes too." And Ty played a couple of his songs, and Jerry said, "Well, I got some songs too." And then Jerry said, "Man, I'm encouraged." He said, "We should make a record." And I go, "Yeah." And so, from that day, we started the ball rolling, and one thing led to another, and it all worked out. And I'm really excited about it. And the other thing also happened was, if it wasn't for Derek Schulman, this still might not even happen. Derek Schulman is a good friend of mine, and he ran MCA. He started in Interscope Records. He signed Bon Jovi, Pantera. You could go down the list, Skid Row. He was the lead singer of Gentle Giant in the 70s. He has a list a mile long, and we're around the same age. And I'm a huge fan of Gentle Giant and him. And I've known him for a long, long time. So he loves King's X. King's X is one of his favorite bands. And when I met him, I'm a fan of his. So we immediately just locked up, with each other as fans. And we talk all the time and stuff. Well, he would pop into town maybe once a year and take me out to dinner and say, "So, what can I do to get you guys to make a record?" So I never would commit to anything. And for years, 8 or 9 years, he kept saying, "Dude." And so finally one time he came in to visit, and he brought a record exec with Golden Globe Records. I think it's Golden Globe. Is it Golden Robot? Yeah, Golden Robot Records. And they took me out to dinner. And he said, "Doug, come on, be honest with me. What'll it take to get you guys to make a record?" So I gave him the bleakest reason that it would take to make a record. I mean, I gave him the worst scenario that I mean, you'll never make any money. We got full control. You have no control over anything. We want X amount of money. And we don't even want to make a record, and we don't care. So, there's no hope here, and, and I'm thinking, there is no way, I mean, I said a bunch of other things to him, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty much just hopeless. And he got us a really good record deal with Golden Robot Records. And he called me up and says, look, and I says, call the management, talk to them, throw it past them, see what they say. And he did, and everybody agreed to make a record. We spent all the money on a record, and we didn't take any home. We're artists. We didn't want to give people a piece of shit and put a few bucks in our checking account, So, so we went out and spent a month on this record. We did it in a recording studio. We did it completely analog, except for Pro Tools, which is digital. But mastering, mixing, everything was analog. The instruments went down. Everything was pedals and tubes. We made it as pure as we could for the vinyl junkies, because that's what basically people are buying music now. And so we wanted to make a record that was sonically geared for those record junkies. And I remember I was saying, to get it as sonic as we can, let's have it on 45 and make it a double album. Just think of the sound quality, when they put the record on, and when they mixed it, and when you listen to it, you could stick your hand around the kick drum, you could feel some of the way it was in the old analog 70s days. So we really went for a sonic salad for people. And even every song we wanted to be mixed, and actually recorded conducive to the song. But we wanted this record to be, if it sounds like a top 40 record, then mix it like a top 40 record. Bring the guitars down, put the guitars in the corner, make them thin, let's put some violins and cellos on here, And so take the time, and when Michael started working, I'm going, man, we need some violins here. And I was hearing all these things. And when he got done with it, it was like, it was a beautiful piece of music. It wasn't, oh man, where's my Doug bass tone? It wasn't there. It wasn't supposed to be there. I toned my bass to fit the song. And this is, for me, one of the first records I've ever done with King's X where in my heart, I took that approach. And every song, had to work. It wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about your voice has to be heard, has to be this loud, and your bass has to have this clang and that clang and whatever, And I think we all took a back seat on that for the greater of the song, or of the song. Even Ty will say that some of the songs he doesn't have his signature guitar tone, and he's on the fence about it, but we all went into this to make the best thing that we could sonically. And I think we still had more songs. I brought 27 songs in. And I've got 30 new songs since then. So I'm trying to wrap my brains around all this. Just trying to, I'm about ready to ask King's X to do another record too. And I'm going to do a solo record soon too. Joe is said, come on, ready for a new solo? I go, yeah, I got 10 songs for you. Let me get them all ready. Got to get work on some lyrics more, because, that's the thing about me when it comes to lyrics. I know I'm babbling, but it has to have some meaning to me right now. It has to have some relativity of the way I see things, the way I feel. Because I don't know what anybody else thinks. I don't know what anybody else wants to hear. But I know that if I just spew out what I'm feeling, somebody will relate to it. And it always works.
That's part of the magic here, though, right? Is, at least for me, from my experience with your music, is it's heartfelt, right? It comes from the depths. And that is, I think, one of the things that resonates so strongly with the fan base is they feel it. They understand it. They've gotten to know who Doug is from the music side. because you share so much, right? And that's
Yeah,
well,
true.
it's not just you, but it's
Yeah,
it's
I
time,
know.
Jerry.
My mom used to always say, Doug, you always gotta tell everybody your business. I'm going, Mom, I'm just writing songs.
When I think about energy and vitality, I think about a kid. They have the energy to play, run around, climb things. That energy that feels like you just can't contain yourself. It's the stuff we've always wished they could just bottle up and sell to us, right? Well, this company's found a way to do just that. Amari's Happy Juice Pack. Mood, motivation, energy, things our bodies can naturally produce when both our guts and our brains are happy and communicating. And we can actually improve that process of communication across the axis of the gut and the brain. This is cutting edge science. This is game-changing information. This is where science meets soul. This is Amari, and we're helping people feel better naturally. Check out the links in the show notes for discounts and more information.
Well, you made a great point, right? So recorded analog. I'm thinking back to when CDs came out, the digital age, and everybody was super excited because everything sounded
Yeah,
so clean, and you could
yeah,
hear you even the remasters, or when they took it from vinyl,
yeah.
and but it lost something, didn't it?
It did. It didn't. It lost everything, and I didn't know it till I went back to vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
20 years later. I remember when digits came out, everybody, like you said, the whole revolution happened. But I remember that we're listening to digital music, but I'm still using a cassette 8-track or 6-track recorder. Okay. And I wrote all the songs that I wrote on Dogman on that 6-track. Okay. And them songs sonically just slammed on with my little drum machine and everything. I used to go, man, I'm finally getting the hang of this 4-track thing or 8-track. And the little cassette. And then I remember the first digital 8-track came out, a little one. And I got my little $200 that went down there and bought it. And I remember that I started to record a song, and I wrote this song. I think it was 67 stations from because because I started going. I went digital on the Ear Candy record, and I can tell the difference. And so I'm writing these songs, and I'm mixing them, and I'm going, now I can hear everything, and everything sounds fine. But why is there's something wrong? And my mind kept saying, there's, and then I remember that I don't have to fight the mix, fight the EQs to make it sound good, because with analog, you got to bring the high end down here, to bring the low end up here, so it doesn't mask something else. And that's the fun of mixing from my standpoint, is I'm a tone freak, and I like to mold each instrument to make it blend with the next one, and sonically and mathematically, And so all of a sudden, that challenge was gone because everything was just there. And it didn't sound any worse or any better. And so I just kept going along with it, and I got used to it. And then compression came along, and they started squashing stuff like crazy. And all of a sudden, started getting gritty, this gritty sound. And when you'd hear a guitar, it sounded more like static. And all of a sudden, the snare is this little, instead of a fat pop, it's like almost like a tack sounding like, and everything it got to be. And then all of a sudden, Metallica puts this record out, I remember, and all of a sudden it was all distorted on iTunes. And we're going, what the heck is this? They learned how to brick wall. So they took all the frequencies and slammed them together to put them on an iPhone. And that's when we all start going, something's wrong here, because music ain't the same no more. And I noticed that, why is it that when I put a record on now, after the first song, I turn it off because I just don't want to hear it. It just sounds like noise and static. And I remember I went back to Houston, where I sold my house about 9 years ago now. But when I had my house, my brother lived there, and I went home and pulled out my record player one day and pulled out some records. I had played records in 20 years almost. And I'm playing it, and I'm thinking, wow, the high end, the cymbals, everything sounds, I can touch the music.
Yeah.
I was going, and that's when the contrast was so great. I finally was so far away from it that's when I got it. And so from that point on, I went home and started backing off all the stuff on my Pro Tools and backing up all the effects and taking away everything, and trying to find pure sounds again. And so yeah, so we've been around in a circle. I mean, it's been 20 years or so, and I think the business, the music industry made a lot of money off of different formats. I mean, I had the 8-track, I had the 6-track, I had the ADATs, I had 5 ADAT machines where you push the button and you had to wait 3 seconds for them all to line up, and then goodness gracious, all the things all the money we spent. I mean, I have so much Sony, cassette players and I mean in the garage that you can't use anymore. So yeah, but now we're trying to get back to the real thing, which is analog.
Okay, so 3 sides of one. Is there a central theme to the album?
No, never.
Theme.
There's never been a theme to anything that King's X has ever done, and I think the reason why we work so hard at not even giving that a thought is because by the time we get done with the record and we listen to the record, we see the picture.
Yeah.
But before that, we're just throwing a bunch of songs together that we like and in the studio making the music. There's no thought about this song sounds like that one, or this is a concept or anything. People are saying, oh, water, songs about water. And I'm going, well, no, I brought in 27 songs, and the first 2 songs, one was Flood and the other one was Let It Rain, and they liked them both, so we put them on the record. It ain't got nothing to do with, oh, let's write a song about water.
So do you have a favorite track off this album?
Thank you. I guess it all depends. They all have different reasons. Ty wrote, what's the name of it? Because we do it live. We did it at the show.
Oh, yeah, festival.
Yeah. Well, that one and yeah, festival, but there's and then yes, those 2 songs, we do those songs because from as far as I'm concerned, it's because we have to do those songs. Those songs are so much fun to play. Oh my God, they're so much fun to play. I love playing those songs. Now I think lyrically my favorite song is Give It Up, only because when I write lyrics, it's only because of a feeling that I'm having and I feel like I nailed it lyrically instead of put filler in. And because a lot of times you can get your point across, but then put a whole bunch of filler in, and it just make it sound like, make it sound like it's deep, but it's not really. It's just babbling, And Kurt Cobain was real good at that. Because people say, what do you sing about? And I said, there's only a couple of things I sing about. I just try to reword it and say it again, because it's always the same theme: is really love, caring, understanding, and listening to each other. But this song, I had turned 70, and it had dawned on me for some reason that number that you're not immortal anymore. It's like the reality of dying was a more of reality than it had ever been in my life. And I've always been obsessed with the end. I've been obsessed with the future all my life. So I'm going, getting closer, and I'm never going to give it up until the lights go out. What's my biggest fear? I might not like what's over there. Kurt Cobain killed himself. And I mean, not Kurt Cobain, but Chris. When Chris killed himself, I'm sitting there. I mean, he was the first person that ever killed himself. It took me a week for the dark cloud to come to leave me. And I've had 3 friends who killed themselves. And when Chris did, it was just like, because I knew him. And I mean, I'm not saying we were best friends or anything like that, but I didn't know him. And just the shock of him doing that, it just didn't make any sense at this point in his life and at this time in his life. So, I'm thinking, why are these people killing themselves? And then Chester killed himself, And that's why I say, I'm never going to give it up, until the lights go out. The first line is, I hesitate. I wait till it's too late. Time was made to kill, thinking I should make a will, and I hesitate. I wait till the last minute for everything in my life. I always have. And it's time to make a will. I've been told I need to make a will for the last 30 years, and I still don't have one. And every day it's on the list, make a will. And to try to do one turns into a dyslexic ADHD nightmare for me, and I just stop. And then, I lost the thrill. My heart is getting colder. It's like I'm getting older, and I'm just not as excited about doing what I do anymore, but I take my heart and I drag it around looking for the lonely people, because that's what I live for. It's just, us lonely people hanging out and just loving on each other and giving each other that goodness, we'll give it up.
What have you learned about yourself, do you think, between Out of the Silent Planet and then the new album, Three Sides of One?
What I've learned is I made a big deal out of nothing, and I wouldn't change it for a thing because it made me who I am and what I contributed to the world. So I'm okay with that, and to make a long story short, if I could make it shorter, a lot of times I'll have these meltdowns. I've had them all my life, just do a breakdown, start crying and freaking out about everything I think is wrong with me, and the whole, because the insecurity comes out and all the things I want to blame everybody else for my pain and my loneliness and blah blah blah. So one time, this is like I was like 69, I guess, and I was like, I was in this low spot. And I went for a walk and I pulled out my iPhone and I started to talk to myself. And I just spewed out everything that I could think of. It was like, I just let it all out. And when I got to the end of it, I thought, you're never going to watch this because you're pathetic. And I thought, but if you do, tell me what you learned. And I turned the thing off. And the next day, which is something I didn't never done before, because I've made these videos before in my life. And as soon as I turned it on and all of a sudden go click, it was like the most pathetic thing I ever seen in my life. Okay. So this time I let it go and I watched my pathetic self giving himself a pity party. And I spewed it, and it was a good one. And I watched it all. And at the end of it, I looked at my camera at myself and said, so if you get to the end of this, what did you learn? And I immediately, in the first time in my life, bust out laughing uncontrollably and said, what was the big fucking deal? And everything changed. Everything changed. I don't know what it was, but it was like, I got it. And wasting my whole life crying about shit that didn't matter to anybody but me, and it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been the same since. It's like, that's why when someone says, how you doing? I said, slap me. I'm fine. And if somebody says, what would you do? What would you change if you could go back? I go, nothing. Oh, not a thing. Not a thing, because I'm okay with where I'm at and who I am right now. And I might not be here, right here talking to you, feeling the way I do if I had gone back and changed something. So I ain't that stupid, so
that's a very,
it's all good.
It's liberating, right? To come to that realization that all the things that we thought were important in the past, all the things we held on to that upset us, that, it triggered us.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the journey. It's made us who we are. And if we're okay with who we are right now, we can always work to be, work on ourselves, but it's part of the process. It's part of the journey. It's part of being human. And I love it.
And
right?
if you can be okay with who you are, then you can be okay with who other people are.
Yeah.
And that's what changed my life, because my mother and my father, who both never married, who I don't think maybe didn't speak to each other before I was even born. I mean, didn't speak to each other after, before I was born, probably. And I blame them for a lot of things that happened to me because of them, and what they did in their lives, how they interpreted their lives, which wasn't very good. But I took it all I took it as a victim, like it was against me.
Mhm.
And when I finally came to the conclusion that I was okay, and also they both passed away, and I look back and see that they were only people trying to survive, trying to be to live their life, whether delusional or terrible things, whatever they did, there was a reason why. And it wasn't because I was the reason.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is my mother loved me. She didn't know how to show me at all. But now I look back and go, yeah, she had to, because there are things that she did that I go, no, 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 no. I mean, she had to feel something, because there are little things that you go, oh, I didn't know she cared, but she did that. Or somebody said, your mama said this, or someone said, your mom was your biggest fan, and I'm going, really? Because she's never once gave me a compliment on anything I've ever done in my life. I thought she just didn't care. And they go, no, man, she's your biggest fan. She talks about you all the time. I'm going, really? And those are the things that you find out later in your life. And this is for people who have a hard time with their parents, who feel their parents don't care about them. They really do, but they don't love themselves. So how are they going to let you know that they care about you when they don't care about themselves? They don't know how. And my mom didn't know how to hug me and say, I love you. You're special, because nobody did that to her. So how's she going to do that to me? So why should I blame her for it? And that's where it started getting to. It's like, oh, I get it now. And there was nothing I could change about it. There was no way I could walk up and go, Mom, I know that nobody cared about you, and and you felt alone, and I'm here for you. I want to hug you. Because she wouldn't have taken that. She would have looked at me and go, why are you hugging me? Why are you doing that? I'm okay. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I would go, oh no, she doesn't love me. She doesn't love me. And I walk away and go back to my hole. I read it wrong, and it's like, it's so amazing how, I mean, even now I talk to so many of my friends, and I'll say something to them and they'll interrupt me and try to, say something or kind of go along with what I said. And I realize they misinterpreted the whole thing. They didn't get what I was trying to say. They saw this other thing they took a word that I used to describe something else and took that as the focal point and turned it into something else and missed my whole point. And I'm going, how do we communicate?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do it at all? And we all are like that. We're so misunderstood because we're so insecure, and we lay our insecurities on other people so much. It's such a mind. Anyway, okay, back to reality here. Let's go.
Well, okay.
I think you touched on it earlier that
Good.
we choose what we let in,
Yes.
and we choose what we put out, and
Bless you.
everyone's going through their own shit, and
Right.
it's how we interpret things are all up to us as the individual.
Right. Thank you.
So having followed King's X for a couple decades now, seeing you live so many times, clearly I don't know you, on a personal level, but I know you through your music and what you talk about on stage, and what we've talked about on the last podcast when Joy Bomb came out. And I think I can say this is, I think you get it, right? You get the human experience, right? You go through it, the highs, the lows, the love, it's just, so, and it comes out in the music so well. It's so many songs. Where, for somebody who's not familiar with King's X, where would you suggest they start?
I think I'd listen to, I'd look at their record collection first.
Okay.
You know, and kind of try to figure out where they're coming from, because it's hard, because King's X is all over the place.
Yeah.
And not one record sounds the same, musically or sonically. They're just so different from one another. If you like heavy music, I would say Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe Tapehead.
It's a great
I
one.
would say that's got some good tunes on it if you just like some good songs.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I can't think of nothing. Well, our latest record, just because I'm married to it. But everything else, you know, I wouldn't recommend. I'd let them go down the rabbit hole and find it on their own. The first record, for me personally, if I would tell a person, if they listen to our first record, look at the date and know that there was no Alice in Chains or grunge or STP. The only thing was happening was Guns N' Roses, Jane's Addiction, Faith No More, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then there was King's X, and there was Anthrax. And if you look at the scope of all those songs, and then you put on Out of the Silent Planet, yeah, it was different.
Okay, so we've got a new Doug Pinnick album coming out maybe next
year.
Yeah,
maybe. I'm excited about it. I even have a name for it, but I was going to say it, but I've always been told not to say the name because
we'll keep it under wraps for now.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, Doug, heartfelt here. Thanks for raising our vibration with every song at every show, for being
awesome.
Authentic and open and accessible.
Okay.
Right? Both of these conversations we've had, and okay, I want to a little quick story. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were in Nashville. You recorded that show live, a video, and then after the show, you came out, and a bunch of us were standing there, and you were just so gracious to everybody, right? You spend a little time talking to people. We pulled out, the album and, the Pound Hound video that you signed and stuff. And this is what I think makes King's X so special. Where would you direct people to check out what you got going on? You're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook.
All you just got to do is, just look up King's X or Doug Pinnick.
We'll have links in the show notes. And until we have you back again for the new album, which we'll love to hear.
Awesome.
Put a little soul in your living. Put a little soul in your time.